Okay, guys, today we're going to talk about leptin. So, leptin was actually not even discovered until 1994, pretty recently, and it plays a major role in our health and our ability to stay lean. So, what is leptin? It is a hormone that's made by our fat cells that's basically responsible for reducing hunger. So, it's also known as our satiety hormone. Satiety hormone, whatever. Basically just the master body fat regulation hormone. So when we eat a meal, leptin gets released by fat cells and travels to our brain. And this basically tells our brain that our body is full and we don't need any more food. It's obviously a really important hormone that aids in appetite control. In obesity, or people with obesity, there's a lot of body fat in fat cells, and fat cells release leptin according to their size. So the more fat you have, the larger or higher the leptin levels are going to be. And the problem with obese people is the leptin signal doesn't really work properly, and there ends up being a ton of leptin floating around, and the brain ends up becoming kind of unresponsive to it and gets tricked into thinking that there's too little leptin present. So your brain is kind of becoming leptin resistant. It's getting numb to the stop eating warning that our body is trying to give us. Like I said, this is called leptin resistance. So we talked before about insulin resistance and how we've become resistant to it. And so this hormone isn't any different. The resistance basically just develops in response to just having chronically elevated levels of leptin. So the brain just eventually stops responding to all these large amounts of leptin, and you don't get the signal to stop eating. And since it's not getting that signal, the brain mistakenly thinks the body is starving. And in order to not starve to death, we need to eat more. Our body's going to tell us to eat more. So secondly, it reduces our metabolism because the brain, since it thinks we're starving, thinks we also need to conserve energy. So it's going to make us burn fewer calories, which is also going to make us feel really sluggish and kind of lazy. The good news is that you can reset your leptin sensitivity. So if you're overweight or obese, most likely you're leptin resistant. And this is the case, especially if you have a lot of excess fat in that midsection. Yeah. So the big key to preventing and reversing leptin resistance is following a diet that keeps inflammation and triglycerides low. There are several things you can do right now to increase your leptin sensitivity. They are: 2, avoid processed foods, consume healthy fats, exercise, sleep, reduce your carb intake, your carbohydrate intake, and have a healthier protein intake. Did you notice anything about those recommendations? Yep, they're the exact same guidelines for anyone just wanting to be healthy. So, regardless of your circumstance, eating whole foods, exercising, and sleeping well are all lifestyle factors that contribute to health and wellness for life. So where does intermittent fasting come into play here, you might be thinking? So recent research from the International Journal of Obesity found that intermittent fasting was effective at reducing leptin hormones and improving leptin resistance. In addition, it fought inflammation and lowered triglycerides. How perfect is that? So just another reason you should be a sensitive person.